about to see the world in action, what we can be. Life with no distractions, we'll get away. This is what we waited for.
Hi guys, and welcome back to another Cook With Me. So today we're going to be having pork and apple burgers, and I'm just going to take you through how to make them. They're really nice. They've got fennel in as well, and they're so easy to make. The kids absolutely love them. And you can also make this mixture into meatballs and serve it on mashed potato with like a cider gravy, so it's quite versatile. So I'm going to take you through what we need, but first off I've got to show you how cool is my apron. This is what the boys got me and Steve for Mother's Day. So this is our Foulger family. If you ever watch to the very end, or if you look in the corner of your screen now, if you're watching on a phone or a tablet, you'll see our little logo. And this is what pops up at the end. And Steve's had it put onto an apron for me. I'm like, how cool is that? Bless him, he's so sweet. It was a complete surprise. And I kept saying to him, every time, like, I've never had an apron before, and every time I cook, I like get in such a mess. So he bought me one with our logo on, and I absolutely love it. It just makes me smile. So I'm going to take you through our ingredients. So to make 4 sort of £1/4 sized burgers, you're going to need 500 grams of pork mince. It is best if you use a slightly higher fat, sort of 12% or over, because otherwise they will be quite dry. If you are trying to cut out the fat, you can use a lower fat mince, but then obviously your burgers are going to be a little bit drier. They're quite moist with the apple in them anyway though. I'm also going to finely chop some spring onions to put in the burgers. You need a large green cooking apple, and I'm just going to peel this and grate it into the mixture. Anything I make with pork mince, I always add fennel. I'm very nearly out. All I've done, this is fennel seeds that I've blitzed up myself, but you can actually buy fennel powder. I just couldn't get the powder last time, so I've just put it in my own tub, and I'm going to use probably about a teaspoon of that, and just some salt and pepper, and that's everything for the burgers. I'm also going to be making a mustard mayonnaise, which really is as simple as it sounds. It's just some Coleman's mustard or any English mustard mixed in with some mayonnaise. I'm using the Hellmann's Light. I find that this tastes just as good as the full fat one, and it's a lot less fat in it obviously. So I will take you through how we make them, but basically we're going to finely chop these, we're going to grate this, put some of this in and form it into burgers. I finely chopped my spring onion as much as I can so that you don't get too many big chunks, and I've also used some of the green leafy part of the top of the onion just to give a bit of a different texture. Right, so I'm just going to pop my spring onion in with my mince, and then I'm going to get to peeling and grating the cooking apple. Right, so my spring onion and my apple have been added to my pork mixture. Now I'm going to add a teaspoon of fennel and some salt and pepper just to taste, or as much as you would normally put into burgers. And then I'm going to form them together. It was much easier to grate the apple once I peeled it and it was whole, but the first apple I used had quite a lot of brown bits in, so I chopped it up to get rid of the bad bits, and then luckily I had a spare, so I just found that peeling it and then grating it around the core was easier, and it saves your fingers. So I'm going to add my fennel, my salt and pepper, and then I'm going to mix this together with my hands, and I'm just going to form 4 burgers. And the trick is not to pack the burgers too tightly. The more little air pockets you can leave, the better that the mince will cook through, and the more tender they will be. Here are the burgers all formed, and I'm going to cook them on our George Foreman style grill. What I'm going to do is just spray it with some spray oil to prevent them sticking, and I'm going to let it heat up. But what I'm not going to do, I don't know why I'm spraying the top actually. I was just going to say what I'm not going to do is actually close it. I'm going to leave it open and just flip them over, because if I close it, it's going to squash them and then they're not going to be as tender. So once that's heated up, I'm going to pop them on. Right, so what I'm going to do now is just lightly place them on the grill. And the trick is to leave these alone for at least 2 or 3 minutes, if not more, until they've started to cook. properly, because if you start to mess around with them, they are going to fall apart. And you can see that they're really loosely formed. I haven't packed them in at all. And I'm just going to put some chips in the oven, and I'm also going to toast some brioche buns. But we'll get on with making the mustard mayonnaise. Right, so for our mustard mayo, it literally is just mustard and mayo, but it works really nicely, especially on pork burgers. So I'm going to use about, I would say, a teaspoon again. This is a half teaspoon measure, so I'm just going to put 2 of those in. And I would say I'm probably going to use around 3 tablespoons of mayonnaise to mix with that. Which is this big one. And I'm getting in a mess. And then you literally just mix it up together. Alright, so now I'm going to attempt to turn these over. And you can see that they're just starting to crisp up on one side. So now you want to do the same and leave them alone. I'm going to put the camera down and flip the other ones. Right, so our burgers are just about ready. The way that I usually tell is that I squeeze them continually and they're very soft, and now when you squeeze them you can feel that they are going completely firm, and I want to make sure they're completely cooked, obviously because it's pork mince. So you can always use a meat thermometer where you just probe it in the centre. I always make sure that my meat is over 70 degrees and it needs to stay there for at least 2 minutes. Right, so I've got my toasted brioche bun. And I'm just going to pop some of the mustard mayo on both sides. We've then got our iceberg lettuce, and then I'm going to pop our burger on there. And then we're just going to lay a cheese slice on the top. Pop our lid on. Right, and here we go, all plated up, and I've just put a little bit of the mustard in a pot for dipping the chips. So we've got some rustic skin on oven fryers, and then there's our pork, fennel and apple burger with spring onion and mustard mayo. So there you go. So I hope you've enjoyed that cook with me. It's a really simple dinner. The boys are tucking in as we speak, and I'm just about to dish up one for Steve. So if you're not already subscribed, I'd love it if you'd go and do so. Check us out on Instagram, it is the Foulger family, and we will see you in our next video.
This is what we waited for.